How you doing, guys? Welcome back to Tempus TV. Today we're covering another frequently asked question of mine. What is it really like to drive in Thailand? If you get here and you're only planning on taking taxis or taking the bus, then you can go ahead and just click off this video right now, but make sure you hit up some of my other ones because I'm sure you can find some valuable information. But today we're gonna cover the main differences and what you can expect if you're planning on driving when you come to Thailand, whether it be motorbikes, cars, whatever. We're gonna talk about some of the major differences so you can know what you're getting into. Let's go. So in the States, we're definitely spoiled when it comes to renting cars. You can go and there's so many places that they have multiple locations. So say you're driving from one end of the country to the other, you can rent a car, drive it across, and you can return it to another location. Unfortunately, this is usually not the case in Thailand. There's a few where you can get away with this, but 9 times out of 10, if you're gonna rent a motorbike or rent a car, be prepared to have to return it to the same spot. So definitely account for this when it comes to how many days you're renting the car, but you're not going to be able to essentially rent a car from Bangkok and then drive it to Chiang Mai and then fly back or whatever. You're going to have to return the car in the same spot. So this is our first major difference when it comes to renting vehicles or driving in Thailand. So if you know anything about Thailand, you'll know that there are tons of motorbikes here. They're super easy to rent. But Thailand does have a helmet law. So if you're riding a bike, you need to wear a helmet. A lot of places that do rentals, they'll also have helmets as well. Some places don't, but at the same time, lots of the gear places, if you go to like a motorcycle shop and stuff like that, they will do rentals. I don't know if you're okay with this, if you want to wear a crusty helmet, but due to the law, this is a very easy way to get stopped by the police. If you're riding down the street and you're not wearing a helmet and there's cops on the road stopping people, you are for sure gonna get stopped. You're gonna get hit with a fine, and a lot of the times they're gonna find other stuff to stack on you as well. So if you plan on renting a bike, plan on getting a helmet, take that into your budget. If you would like a new one, obviously you're gonna have to pay for that yourself, but this is something that you should definitely not skip out on, obviously safety wise, but also it'll save you money in the long run from getting stopped by the police, especially if you're gonna be riding extensively. If you ride around enough, eventually you are gonna get stopped. So instead of paying that 1,000 baht to the police, save up another 1,000 and go get yourself a decent helmet. This is another thing that kind of goes with rentals. So obviously insurance and registration are required in Thailand for any vehicle. It doesn't matter if it's yours or you're renting it, you're gonna need to have these on you. This is gonna be another one. If you get stopped by the police and you don't have these, you're gonna get hit with another fine, and the police can actually take your car if it's not registered. It's unlikely, you're most likely just gonna get hit with a fine, but especially if you're going to rent a vehicle or anything like that, make sure you have them show you where the registration and insurance and all that stuff is. So if you do get stopped, or God forbid something happens, you get in an accident or anything like that, you know where all this paperwork is. This isn't really like a major difference. It's just one of those things that you need to be prepared for. So just make sure, especially if you're planning on renting, that you know where all the proper paperwork is, so you don't have to shuffle around, you don't have to try to make a phone call while you're talking to the police, anything like that. And generally, if you pull up to the police and you already know, you hand your license and you've got everything under control, they're generally a little more lenient because they understand that you understand that you are supposed to have this paperwork. Just a quick break, I want to thank all the new viewers to the channel. The past month has been super great, and I especially want to thank all the viewers that stopped by this week's live stream. It was super successful. I had a really good time, answered a lot of questions for people, minus a few people paying me to eat some crazy stuff, but you know, I like money, no big deal. If that's something you'd like to see, if you have some real questions or you like to get some real back and forth conversation going, I do live streams every week, every Tuesday. I do them Wednesday here, so if you're on this side of the world, it's gonna be Wednesday morning for you, but if you're in the States, which is where most of my viewers are, you are gonna see them on Tuesday evening, usually around 8 or 9 o'clock your time. And always, if you'd like to see the daily uploads, go ahead and just drop down and subscribe. If you'd like to see more short form content, I'm active on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff is linked down in the bio, so if that's something you're interested in, you know where to go. Okay, so probably the biggest difference if you're coming from the States, in Thailand they drive on the left. Now this can seem a little intimidating at first, but the way the cars are set up, essentially you're still in the same position in the car. Obviously they drive on the left, but the driver's side is on the right side of the car. So the passenger side is always to the curb, you are gonna sit to the inside of the lane. So after a while, you're actually gonna get really used to this. The only time it can be a little confusing is if you're pulling out on a 2-lane road. Sometimes you might get a little confused, but just take your time, go slow, and it's generally easy. You can just follow the rest of the traffic. The only thing that still kind of gets me sometimes when you're driving on the freeway, the fast lane is all the way to the right. So just be prepared for that. This can be one of the most intimidating things when it comes to driving overseas. If you're not used to driving on the left, it can be a little cumbersome at first, but really not that big a deal. You'll be surprised how fast you actually get used to it. Another huge one in Thailand, traffic, traffic, traffic. So the freeway infrastructure here isn't quite as big as it is in the States. We're obviously very spoiled in the States. You can go 300 miles relatively quick. If you're planning on driving here, especially in like Bangkok and places like that, if you're staying in Bangkok, I definitely recommend getting somewhere close to the train, and just avoiding traffic in general. The traffic in Bangkok or on weekends between Pattaya and Bangkok, if it's a long weekend, holiday, anything like that, can be crazy. So just take into account how bad the traffic is when you're trying to like judge times, how long it's gonna take you to get places. Especially in Bangkok, I remember last time I was there, I was 3 kilometers from my hotel. It took me 2 hours. I could have just gotten out and walked it. Granted, it's super hot, which would have been a bummer, but traffic is definitely a thing, and it's a thing all over the country. The roads aren't quite as easily laid out as they are in the States. Traffic and navigation can be a little bit more confusing, but Google Maps is super reliable in most of the country, so you can just lean on that. Just obviously make sure you're not driving while you're on your phone. Just turn on your talk to text or whatever, and it's super easy. But obviously be prepared for the traffic. One of my favorite things about driving in Thailand is the car culture itself. So modified cars are very popular here. It's not like the normal, 20-year-old kids we see in the States, and those are the only people driving modified cars here. You see modified taxis with wheels and exhausts. If you're driving down the freeway, you'll see, turbo diesel pickup trucks, JDM tuners, semi trucks with more lights on them than the space shuttle. You'll see all kinds of stuff. So if you are a big car guy, car girl, whatever, it's super fun to just drive around and look at all the funky cars here. There's obviously tons of cars here that we never got in the States. Even some JDM stuff. It used to be super easy to import to Thailand. Now not so much. It's gotten very expensive. But if you're into cars, Thailand's a great place, and there's always car shows and drag races, all kinds of cool stuff. So if you're into cars, it's a great place to come out. And if you're a content creator, there is an endless amount of stuff you can film when it comes to vehicles, motorbikes, all of it. Everybody modifies everything, which is super cool and one of my favorite things about Thailand for sure. So probably the golden question, is driving in Thailand safe? So in one of my most recent videos, we talked about the fatality rates about motorbikes, which is super unfortunate, but like we said in that video, there's just so many more bikes, and that's what's gonna happen. So a lot of these mortality rates that you see online, a huge majority of these have to do with motorcycle incidents. So if you're driving in a car, generally you're gonna be very safe. Thai drivers aren't super crazy. They're usually pretty low key. If you're one of those people that gets frustrated when you get stuck behind slow people, just wrap your mind around that that's probably gonna happen. Like we said in the previous video, however, if you take the motorbikes out of the equation, Thailand's roads are actually super safe. Most of the roads are very well maintained, especially when you go up north towards Chiang Mai and you're in the mountains. The roads are pristine. They're actually super nice. And generally, if you're a safe driver, if you're not prone to accidents in your home country, you don't really need to worry about it here. The only thing is, like we discussed earlier, if you're getting a motorbike, that obviously puts you at more risk because you are more exposed. But if you're just driving around in your car during the day, I definitely wouldn't worry about it. Generally, Thailand roads are super safe. Just be smart, just like you would in your home country. As always, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Tempus TV. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about Thailand, go ahead and click on this video right here. If you'd like to support the channel, all that information will be down below. And like we said earlier, if you'd like to see more content from Thailand, feel free to go down, hit the like button, drop a subscribe so you get updated every time I upload a video. As always, I hope you guys have a great day. We'll catch you in the next one. Tell somebody you love them.